It was an ordinary Saturday morning when my son-in-law, Armin, called me. His voice was warm, polite as always, the kind of tone that once made me think I was lucky my daughter had found such a husband. "Amy," he said gently, "could you do me a small favor? My car's at the wash. I have an urgent meeting and can't pick it up on time. Would you mind collecting it for me?" I didn't even hesitate. Armin had always been respectful, never raising his voice, never forgetting to call me Amy. My daughter, Sana, often bragged about how lucky she was to have him. In my heart, I believed her. Of course, Beta, I replied with a smile, even though he couldn't see it. "Don't worry, I'll bring it home safe and sound." I slipped into my sandals, tied my dupatta over my shoulder, and left the house. As I walked down the street toward the car wash, I thought about how far we had all come. Sana had married Armin 3 years ago, and though their life seemed picture perfect, I sometimes worried about whether he truly loved her. Sana was sensitive, trusting to a fault. I often prayed that Armin would never take advantage of her kind heart. The car wash was busy when I arrived, the air thick with soap suds and the smell of polish. Men were wiping windshields, spraying down tires, and shouting over the noise of running water. I stepped carefully to avoid the puddles on the floor. "Salam, Baji," the car wash owner greeted me, wiping his hands on a cloth. "You're here for the black Honda, right? Belongs to Armin Sahib." "Yes," I said, adjusting my dupatta. He couldn't come today, so I came on his behalf. The man grinned knowingly, nodding as though this was nothing unusual. "Ah, yes, that car comes here quite often. We take special care of it, especially since Armin Sahib is always bringing his lady with him." I froze. For a moment, I thought I had misheard him. My ears buzzed, and my heart thudded painfully in my chest. His lady. I repeated slowly, my voice barely more than a whisper. The owner didn't notice my shock. He kept talking casually, almost cheerfully, as if he were gossiping about the weather. "Yes, yes, a fair young woman. Not the one he brought last year. This one is different. Always sitting in the passenger seat, smiling, laughing. They come every few weeks. He likes the car spotless. When he's out with her." My throat tightened. I forced a smile, trying not to reveal the storm raging inside me. "Oh, I see." He handed me the keys, still smiling. "You're lucky to have such a stylish son-in-law, Baji, always polite, generous with tips. But Han, his secrets, well, that's his own business, nah." My fingers closed around the cold metal of the keys. They felt heavier than they should have, like the weight of the entire world had just been placed in my hand. I walked out without another word, my legs trembling. The sound of car horns and busy chatter around me felt distant, muffled, as though I were underwater. My mind replayed the words again and again. Always bringing his lady, not the same as last year's secrets, are his own business. By the time I slid into the driver's seat, my palms were slick with sweat. The car smelled faintly of expensive cologne, but beneath it I caught something else. A sweet, lingering scent of perfume that wasn't mine, and certainly not my daughter's. My chest tightened with dread. I gripped the steering wheel, staring at my reflection in the rear-view mirror. For the first time in years, I felt utterly powerless. A truth had been dropped into my lap, a truth I couldn't ignore, one that could shatter my daughter's entire world. And as I started the engine, I realized my life, Sana's life, and everything I thought I knew about Armin had just changed forever. The drive home that day felt endless. The road stretched before me, but my thoughts were louder than the engine beneath my hands. Every red light, every passing car, every sound of traffic only fueled the storm inside me. When I reached home, I parked Armin's shiny black Honda carefully in the driveway. From the window, I saw my daughter, Sana, waving with her usual bright smile. She opened the door before I could even knock. "Amy, You picked it up. Thank you so much," she said, kissing my cheek. "You're always helping us. Armin will be so grateful." Her innocent joy pierced my heart. She had no idea. No idea that the man she adored might be hiding something so dark, so cruel. I tried to smile. "It's nothing, Beta," I murmured, brushing her hair back lovingly. But inside, my mind was screaming. Should I tell her? Would she even believe me if I did? That night, as I lay in bed, sleep refused to come. The car wash owner's words replayed again and again, tormenting me, always bringing his lady, not the same as last year. Could it be a mistake? Maybe the man was confused. Maybe it was someone else's car. But the perfume lingering in that car, that was no mistake. The next few days, I began to notice things I had ignored before. Tiny cracks in the perfect marriage Sana always boasted about. Armin often came home late, claiming his meetings had run long. Sana, sweet and trusting, never questioned it. She would serve his dinner warm, waiting with a smile, but I noticed. I noticed the faint lipstick smudge on his shirt collar one evening, a shade my daughter never wore. I noticed the expensive restaurant receipt tucked carelessly in the glove compartment when I went to fetch something from the car. 2 meals, 1 glass of wine. Sana didn't drink. And then there was the perfume, always the same intoxicating, floral scent clinging to the seats, the seatbelt, the very air of the car. Each discovery was a knife in my chest. I felt betrayed, not only for Sana, but for myself. I had defended Armin countless times in front of relatives, praised his character, told people how good he was to my daughter. Now each memory of my words felt like poison. One evening, while Sana was in the kitchen, I quietly checked his jacket pocket hanging by the door. My hands trembled as I pulled out a hotel key card. The name of the place was clear, Pearl Residency. I nearly collapsed. My breathing grew shallow, my heart hammering so loudly I feared Sana would hear it. I slipped the card back quickly, not ready to confront the truth just yet. Instead, I went back to my room, closed the door, and pressed my hand against my mouth to stop a sob from escaping. Tears streamed down my face, hot and unstoppable. I felt like I was carrying a fire in my chest, burning, destructive, threatening to consume me whole. How could I tell my daughter? How could I look into her trusting eyes and destroy her world with the truth? But I also knew something else. Silence was no longer an option. Armin's mask was cracking, and I needed to be ready when it shattered completely. The betrayal was real. The evidence was undeniable. And deep in my heart, I knew I would make him pay for every tear my daughter would shed. I had spent days collecting pieces of Armin's deception, like shards of broken glass cutting into my hands. Receipts, the hotel key card, faint traces of perfume. Every detail screamed of betrayal, but evidence was nothing if left hidden in silence. I knew one thing. If I confronted Armin in private, he would deny it, twist his words, and charm his way out of it. That was his gift. No, I needed to corner him where lies would not save him, before the eyes of those who mattered most. And so, I planned a family dinner. Amy, why such a big dinner suddenly? Sana asked cheerfully as she chopped vegetables in the kitchen. Her eyes sparkled with innocence. She had no idea of the storm brewing just beyond the horizon. "Oh, nothing, Beta," I replied with forced calm. "It's been long since we all sat together. I just feel like gathering everyone." Inside, my hands shook as I stirred the curry. My mind wasn't on the food. It was on the trap I was setting. That evening, the dining room glowed under the soft light of the chandelier. The table was laid beautifully, dishes steaming with fragrance. Sana wore a new dress, her excitement palpable. Armin entered with his usual charm, greeting everyone with smiles and warmth. He kissed Sana lightly on the forehead, pulled out his chair, and looked every bit the devoted husband he pretended to be. I watched him closely, my heart pounding, my jaw clenched. Dinner began with laughter, small talk, and clinking cutlery. But my mind was fixed on the moment I would strike. "So, Armin Beta," I said casually, my tone deceptively light. "I picked up your car from the wash the other day. The owner is such a talkative man, isn't he?" His hand froze midair, the spoon inches from his mouth. For the first time, his smile faltered. "Oh, really?" he said, forcing a laugh. Yes, those workers always chatter too much." I leaned forward, my eyes locked on his. "Yes, he told me how often you visit, always with a young lady, a very fair one, not Sana." The table went silent. Sana blinked, confused, looking between us. "Amy, what are you saying?" Armin let out a nervous chuckle, waving a dismissive hand. "Nonsense. These people must have mistaken me for someone else. You know how it is." But his voice lacked its usual confidence. He avoided my gaze, his hand trembling slightly as he lifted his glass of water. I reached into my dupatta and pulled out the envelope I had prepared. I laid it on the table slowly, deliberately. "Then perhaps you can explain this," I said firmly. I slid out the restaurant receipts, each with dates and times he had claimed to be working late. I placed them before Sana. Her fingers shook as she picked one up, her lips parting in disbelief. "And this?" I added, pulling out the hotel keycard. I set it down like a final weapon. The room seemed to grow colder. Sana's eyes widened, her breathing quickened. "Armin, what is this?" he stammered, his mask slipping. It's nothing. Work meetings, business partners who wear perfume and leave lipstick stains." I cut in sharply. My voice was steady now, strong with the fury of a mother. "Don't insult our intelligence." The silence was unbearable. Sana's tears spilled, her fork clattering to the plate. You told me you were working late," she whispered, her voice breaking. "All those nights, all those lies." Armin reached for her hand desperately. "Sana, please, listen." But she pulled back, shaking her head, sobbing. At that moment, I felt both the ache of watching my daughter's heart break and the grim satisfaction of truth finally clawing its way to the surface. Armin's carefully crafted mask had cracked. His lies were laid bare, his charm powerless against cold evidence. And as I watched him squirm, I knew this was only the beginning. The real revenge had yet to come. The night of the dinner left our house in ruins. Sana locked herself in her room, her sobs muffled behind the door. Armin had left in silence, his face pale and jaw clenched, no longer the confident man he had always pretended to be. I stood in the living room long after everyone had gone to bed, staring at the evidence scattered across the dining table. My hands shook, but not from fear anymore, from determination. This man had broken my daughter's heart, deceived her with charm and lies, and dared to think he would get away with it. No, not this time. The next morning, Sana emerged from her room, her face pale and eyes swollen from crying. She sat beside me on the sofa, holding my hand like she was a child again. "Amy, what do I do now?" she whispered, her voice trembling. I stroked her hair softly, though my heart burned with rage. "You do nothing, Beta. You leave this to me. A man like Armin does not deserve your tears." And with that, my plan began. I knew Armin's reputation was his greatest asset. In business, he was respected as loyal, honest, family-oriented, the kind of man others trusted without hesitation. That image was his shield. Without it, he was nothing. I started quietly, spreading whispers where I knew they would echo the loudest. To his colleagues, I mentioned strange late-night meetings and the receipts I had found. To family friends,